Harry Phipps dropped at my door a big package of cocaine in 50. Was that 58 or 61?
No, it would be
that
58.
We went to see Céline.
Oh, that would be in 58 because in 61 I was in Tangiers.
Yeah. Okay, you weren't in Paris in the early 60s. 60 when we.
Well, I was in and out, but.
So that would be late, 58. Okay.
Yeah, around in there, I think.
Okay, so Stern dropped a big package of cocaine, which was the first time I ever had really good cocaine, and the last time, for that matter, for any length. And I remember sitting up all night sniffing it, and then the next day we had a meeting with Michel Moore of the literary newspaper.
That's right, yes.
Paper?
Yes, I don't remember the name of the paper, but I remember the meeting. It wasn't very fortunate. We did not represent ourselves in a very good light.
I was sniffing cocaine and going to the bathroom every 10 minutes to renew my supply.
Yeah.
Being the first time I'd ever had any.
Yeah, well, once again we struck out.
No, actually, there was an intelligent interview.
Well, it wasn't very intelligent at all.
Okay. I don't remember.
Sure.
My French isn't that good anyway. But Moore was friendly enough because he gave us a letter of introduction to Céline.
That's right.
So Burroughs and I went to visit Louis-Ferdinand.
That's why I blew it. I had to fuck that cunt that day. You know, I'm supposed to go up there. Peter goes up there. He goes up there.
Peter
Al
was
goes
not there.
Peter didn't go?
No.
Peter's probably in New York by then.
Yeah. Peter did not go see Céline?
He did not go see Céline. It was just me and Alan.
My God, I'm the man that was supposed to go, and I love the man.
Yes, Alan.
But Jules Dessan's daughter wanted me the next day. What am I going to do? If I'm a name dropper, they bounce. Believe me, I fuck her or go see this old bitter man up in the mountain. I missed it. He was good. Huh?
So now what happened with Céline?
In 1957, Allen Ginsberg, Peter Orlovsky, and Gregory Corso fled the obscenity trials in the United States surrounding the publication of Ginsberg's poem Howl. They took refuge in a cheap, no-name hotel at 9 Rue Gilles-Coeur in the Latin Quarter of Paris. Soon, they were joined by another beat writer, William Seward Burroughs. Burroughs was largely indifferent to meeting other French writers because of the language barrier, but was enthusiastic at the idea of visiting Louis-Ferdinand Céline, whom he regarded, along with Jean Genet, as one of the most important writers alive. After all, Journey to the End of the Night and Death on the Installment Plan were the first two books he had lent Allen Ginsberg and Jack Kerouac when he first got to know them back in 1944. On the 8th of July 1958, Burroughs and Ginsberg took a suburban train out to Meudon, about halfway to Versailles, on the southwest of Paris. Their visit lasted several hours.
In 1945, we had Journey to the End of the Night. That was one of the books that Burroughs gave us, me and Kerouac, and it affected Kerouac's writing quite a bit. Burroughs and I went up to visit Céline in Meudon. The first thing we saw was some big black dogs in a big front yard with rusty bed springs in an old mansard roofed mansion, really, but run down, with, I forgot, Madame Destouches ballet lessons in the front. We went in and I said, "Oh, well, do the dogs bite?" He said, "No, we just keep them for the noise." And he and Burroughs discussed the jails they had been in.
French?
French and English. He and Burroughs said you couldn't know a nation unless you'd seen it through its jails. And then I asked him whether he still had a medical practice. Said, yes, a few old people come to see him as old patients, but most medical practice, 90% is young women who want to take their clothes off in front of a young man, and no one would want to take their clothes off in front of an old guy like him.
Moi, je trouve que le plus grand écrivain du monde, c'est Louis-Ferdinand Céline. Que son vrai nom, c'est Détouche. Il est un docteur Détouche. Parce que il a écrit les grands comment on dit ça?
Épopée.
Hein?
Épopée.
Les grands épopées?
C'est ça.
Pou. De la vie moderne. Mieux que tous les autres. Quand il était sur un bateau qui s'en allait à l'Afrique, il était un passenger, mais le monde n'aimait pas. Les femmes, ils disaient, oh, cet homme-là, ce docteur-là, il est fou, hein? Mais un soir, quand les hommes étaient prêts pour frapper le pauvre docteur de toute sa gueule, il a poigné la main du premier gars et il a dit « Vive la France !» Et après ça, il est descendu sur le bord du bateau avec des nègres sur un bateau, un petit bateau. Boum, Afrique. Voyage au bout de la nuit. Et aussi, il a écrit Mort à crédit, qui appelle ici Death on the Installment Plan. Il wrote a book called Death on the Installment Plan. Ça, c'est beau. Ça, c'est le plus grand.
So now what happened with Céline?
I remember the first thing happened was he had to put his dogs away. He had been 6 big dogs, or 5 big dogs.
Who came out barking as we came in the gate.
Yeah, so he put them into a back lot, and you said, have they ever killed anybody?
Or do they bite? Are they dangerous?
And he said, no, I just keep them for the noise. And when I go down to the post office to protect me from the Jews.
Did he say that?
He certainly did.
Well, outside of my earshot.
Right, not outside your earshot. Oh, it's right smack in front of you.
I don't remember that at all.
Well, sure.
I remember him saying, no, I just keep it for the noise.
But no, it was much later. A little bit later, this thing came up. You know, I had all these attacks on the Jews, and already the druggist wouldn't fill his prescriptions, and he had the whole Céline scene going there.
And I remember asking
him. Madone, this really run-down
big mansard roofed private house, very large private house.
It wasn't very large. It was a run-down.
It was run down, but it was
stucco villa, and she was a ballet teacher,
right,
and supported him.
His wife.
Yeah. You asked him, "Are you a good doctor?" Yeah. And he said, "Well, I am a."
Then I said, "How's your clientele? Can you make a living?" And he said, "No, most of the people who come to doctors are middle-aged women, and they just want to take their clothes off in front of a young man. Nobody wants to take their clothes off in front of me."
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Then I recognized that line years later. I read it in one of his books.
Mm. Another thing, you'd ask him about everybody. It is nothing. Je n'ai, oh, it is nothing. It is nothing. Every year there is a new fish in the literary pond, and everyone says it is marked, but it is nothing. Sartre, all these people, it's just nothing.
I love it.
Then you and he had a conversation about the jails you had been to?
No, I didn't.
Yes, because he said that you only know a country unless you see.
Oh, yeah, that's right. You know a country unless you've seen the jails. Yeah.
Seen it through its jails.
Seen it through jails.
But I think you mentioned different jails that you had been in America.
Possibly.
And he did too. And then the conclusion was you really only know a country when you look at it through its jails.
Well, that was his conclusion.
Then there was, we gave him a copy of On the Road.
He didn't never crack those. I can assure you.
And we gave him a copy of Howell.
Yeah, and Junkie.
Oh, Junkie?
Yeah. Yeah, but I could tell by the way he touched them and put them aside that he was never going to look at them again. I'm going to assure you he never did.
What did he look like?
I'm sad.
He looked exactly like an old reactionary concierge with shawls all around himself reading Le Monde. And just exactly, he had several scarves, about 3 or 4 ratty old scarves around him and sweaters.
And several pairs of socks on his slippery
Right,
feet.
that's right.
And he took us in the house at one point.
No, I didn't. Did he?
Yes, we went in the house, just not into any of the room, just into the... You pointed out a room where he worked, I think.
This was a little courtyard behind the house.
Yeah, the backyard.
Where he received us, yes.
Yeah.
No, it wasn't a garden, it was just a little
what would you call the garden
little
without
courtyard, yes.
It was big.
Wasn't big.
Yes, it was. It was a property at least the size of this, with a house about a third the size, but with a mansard roof, a central corridor downstairs, and large French windowed rooms on either side.
Well, okay, it was medium size. It was reasonable, Alan, it was reasonable.
Well, it was a run-down mansion, I'd say.
It wasn't a mansion, it was
full family house.
Yeah.
If you want to keep going, you can move to Tangier.
Okay.
Yeah, quickly. Yeah, get going.
Okay.
Céline is an Ignou, old Ignou over prose. I saw him in Paris, dirty old gentleman of ratty talk, brown moles under historic fingernails. Pure genius is giving morphine all night to 1,400 passengers on a sinking ship because they were all getting emotional.
Sartre, Camus, Michaud, et Malraux, et Mauriac, et Morois, et Gide, c'était des... Moi, je dis que les grands écrivains, ils gagnent jamais les grands prix. Il donnera jamais le grand prix à Céline, et à Genet, et à Burroughs.
Et à Kerouac.
Ah oui, moi je suis populaire. Hein? Moi je peux avoir les prix si je les... Mais quand ils m'offrent le prix, s'ils m'offrent le prix Nobel Prize, quand j'ai 50 ans, s'ils n'ont pas encore donné à Louis-Ferdinand Céline, si Céline est encore en vie, on va dire non, je ne le veux pas avant que vous le donne à mon maître.
Said the presidential skeleton, I won't sign the bill. Said the speaker's skeleton, yes, you will. Said the representative skeleton, I object. Said the Supreme Court skeleton, what do you expect?
To William Seward Burroughs, Céline was primarily a humorist in the picaresque tradition. He couldn't understand why people often regarded the French Doctor as a vortex of despair. To him, Céline's books were funny and full of life. It is a secret to no one that Burroughs drew inspiration from Céline.
Dirty art, said the right-wing skeleton, forget about your heart.
When asked in 1974 if he had been inspired by Céline, Burroughs' answer was crystal clear. Yes, very much so. One example. In Journey to the End of the Night, Céline wrote, "You know, when people are well, there's no getting away from it. They're rather frightening, especially since the war. I know what they're thinking. They don't always realize it themselves, but I know when they can stand up, they're thinking of killing you. Whereas when they're ill, there's no doubt about it. They're less dangerous."
Poor, said the Son of God skeleton, AIDS needs cure.
Burroughs expanded on Céline's famous line, writing, "Dead people are less frightening than live ones."
Blacks are out of luck.
Kim, if you had your choice, would you rather be a poisonous snake or non-poisonous? Oh, poisonous, sir, like a green mamba or a spitting cobra. Why? I'd feel safer, sir. And that's your idea of heaven, feeling safer? Yes, sir. Is a poisonous snake really safer? Not really, but he must feel good after he bites someone. Safer? Yes, sir. Dead people are less frightening than live ones. Young man, I think you're an assassin. I want to be one, sir.
Hey, what's cooking? Said the talk show skeleton, fuck you in the face. Said the family values skeleton, my family values mace. Said the New York Times skeleton, that's not fit to print. Said the CIA skeleton, can't you take a hint?
Pour revenir quelques instants à ces auteurs, trop nombreux pour les citer tous, qui font partie de ce livre, The Books in My Life, on est frappé, et ça paraît naturel quand on sait que vous avez vécu longtemps à Paris, on est frappé du nombre impressionnant d'écrivains français qui figurent dans cette liste et qui vous ont influencé plus particulièrement. Quels sont, si vous aviez à nommer les 2 ou 3 écrivains français contemporains qui vous ont influencé?
Deux sont morts déjà. Céline, Blaise Sandra, Jean Giono, surtout, je crois. Mais il y avait beaucoup d'autres, oui, parce que étant en France et désireux d'apprendre le français, j'ai lu les livres français. Et aussi, j'ai trouvé, à part des Russes et quelques Scandinaves, l'écrivain français m'intéressait plus que les autres, n'est-ce pas?
Vous pourriez dire pourquoi?
Pourquoi? Peut-être c'était le style, la façon d'approcher un sujet. C'était pas les sujets même. Les romanciers sont des romanciers partout. C'était plutôt la façon, how should I say, le mélange de sensualité et esthétisme et la perfection de langage. Parce que pour moi, et pour beaucoup d'Américains, je crois, même les écrivains, nous ne constatons pas que nous sommes bien calés. Nous sommes des écrivains, par accident. Tandis que ici en Europe, c'est l'Europe un peu ici, n'est-ce pas? L'homme se discipline pour faire sa carrière, il me semble. Nous, souvent, nous avons fait toutes sortes de métiers avant d'être écrivains, n'est-ce pas? Mais chez les Français, il me semble qu'ils sont nés écrivains. C'est pas vrai, mais ils me donnent cette impression. Ils avaient la facilité, en tout cas. Et nous n'avons pas. Nous avions quelques écrivains qui avaient le don. Thomas Wolfe, par exemple, que je n'estime pas beaucoup, mais il avait le don de dire n'importe quoi. Hein? Et il y avait 2 ou 3 autres, c'est tout. Autrement, ils sont des gens qui sont constipés, à mon avis. Ils font ça, n'est-ce pas? Déchirent le papier. C'est mon impression, mon image des écrivains, oui.
Et ces écrivains français que vous venez de citer, qu'il s'agisse de Céline, de Blaise Sandrard, de Jean Giono, avez-vous eu l'occasion d'entrer en contact avec eux, de les rencontrer, de leur parler?
Seulement Sandra. Et Sandra m'a donné l'honneur de venir chez moi, frapper à la porte.
À Dixer?
Oui. Non, à Paris.
Ah oui?
En 1934, après le
tout de
tropique.
Suite après le tropique du cancer.
Oui, c'est lui qui a fait la première review, what do you say?
Premier article, première critique.
Oui, dans une petite revue qui s'appelle Orbe. Oui, et jeune, j'ai fait une visite chez lui avec un ami, mais il était absent. Céline, non, je n'ai jamais essayé de voir Céline. Même que j'habitais la même petite ville, Clichy.
Qu'est-ce qui vous en empêchait?
La timidité.
Vous êtes un écrivain, un homme timide.
Pour certaines choses, oui. Une chose comme ça, oui.
Petit butin, depuis l'Irlande aux Dardanelles. Il est sous le mec, alors ça n'a aucune importance, il l'a fait comme il peut. Voilà l'histoire. Bon, et maintenant c'est fini, je vous embête plus.
Confrère, je vais être bien content à lire votre tropique. Déjà, ce que j'ai parcouru m'intrigue et me donne bien envie de tout connaître. Puis-je me permettre une toute petite indication dans un genre que je connais assez bien? Soignez bien votre discrétion. Toujours plus de discrétion. Sachez avoir tort. Le monde est rempli de gens qui ont raison. C'est pour cela qu'il écœure. Bien à vous. Louis-Ferdinand, Céline.
Now listen, most writers make me sick. Their words don't even touch the paper. But Céline made me ashamed of the poor writer I am. I felt like tossing it all, a goddamn master whispering into my head. God, I was like a boy again, listening. There's nothing between Céline and Dostoevsky, unless it's Henry Miller. Anyhow, after feeling bad after finding out how little I was, I went ahead and read the book, and I was led by the hand willingly. Céline was a philosopher who knew that philosophy was useless. A fucker who knew that fucking was almost a sham. Céline was an angel, and he spit into the eyes of angels and walked down the street. Céline knew knew everything. I mean, he knew as much as there was to know if you only had 2 arms, 2 feet, a cock, some years to live, or less than that. Less than each or any of those. Of course, he had a cock.
Mais parmi bon nombre de singularités, vous avez celle d'être parisien. Votre ton, vos manières, vos réactions, votre accent même, sont d'un parisien, mieux encore peut-être, d'un faubourien. Où êtes-vous né?
Je suis né à Courbevoie-Seine, Rente-du-Pont, le 27 mai 1894.
Passage Choiseul, il n'y a pas beaucoup de spectacles de la nature.
Ah, il n'y en a aucun.
Alors, un petit gosse de Paris connaît peu la nature, le ciel, l'air pur.
Ah,
comment avez-vous découvert la nature?
Au cimetière.
Quels mots voudriez-vous prononcer, quelles phrases voudriez-vous écrire avant de disparaître?
Ils étaient lourds, voilà ce que je pense, oui. Ils sont horriblement lourds, n'est-ce pas? Ils sont lourds et épais, voilà ce qu'ils sont, n'est-ce pas? Plus que méchants et bêtes en plus, mais ils sont surtout lourds et épais. Dieu qu'ils étaient lourds, voilà tout ce qu'ils me font comme effet. Surtout quand ils s'imaginent d'être malins, c'est encore pire. C'est tout ce que je vois.
Céline, mort. Vieil homme, son image en moi. Rien. Adieu à ton ombre, béni de toute éternité. Dépose nos chagrins au pied du roi. Puisses-tu plaider notre maudite cause, afin qu'il nous entende.
Céline himself, an old igloo over prose. I saw him in Paris, dirty old gentleman of ratty talk, with long hair crossed, 3 wormy sweaters round his neck, brown mold under historic aging fingernails. Pure genius is giving morphine all night to 1,400 passengers on a sinking ship because they were all getting emotional.
Skeleton, that's all. Good night.